Hey, welcome back, everyone. After my last video about being real and being authentic, I couldn't shake that theme just yet. I wanted to speak on it just a little bit more and maybe emphasize a few more points and push that narrative a little clearer, a little further into your spirits. Imagine being called a gift of God, yet you were living like a thief. That was Matthew's reality. He had this tension going on in his spirit, in his soul. You see, Matthew was a tax collector, and he ended up being a gospel writer. And I want to take us through this little journey of Matthew's story, because you might find yourself in it. I know I found myself in it. Matthew was a tax collector, and tax collectors, how they earned their living was overtaxing the people and pocketing the difference. You see, he was robbing his own community, robbing his own people. He worked for Rome, a sworn enemy of the Jewish people during that time. And yet, his very name was the gift of God. You see, when Matthew's mother gave birth to him and looked down at his chubby little body, she declared, the gift of God. He is going to be a gift of God. But yet his life couldn't be further from the truth. And many of us live in those tensions ourselves, right? I mean, if we're honest with each other, how many of us are living truly to the purpose that God put us on this planet for? And only you know that. You know deep down inside what God had placed you on this earth for. And whatever that calling is, are you being true to it? Whatever that purpose is, are you being true to it? Is your very nature being true to the purpose that God had put in your life? Or are you living in that tension of contradiction? Living in that contradiction where God's purpose for you is one thing, but yet you're living another. Now, I'm not really talking about hypocrisy, and I'm not talking about you trying to fulfill the next man's expectations of you. I'm talking about something way deeper than that. I'm talking about God's purpose for your life, what He called you to do, what He called you to be, and what He called you to have. You see, I haven't arrived yet. I'm a work in progress. I'm on this journey with you. And see, that's the unique thing about this channel is I'm not at the top speaking down condescendingly at you, talking about you need to do X, Y, and Z and you could get to where I'm at. That's not the purpose of this channel. The purpose of this channel is to grow together, to walk life together, to challenge each other, to inspire, to motivate, and hopefully be an agent of change. You see, Matthew just didn't collect taxes. The way tax collectors earned their living back then was overtaxing the people and pocketing the difference. He was a robber, he was a thief, he was a crook, he was a despised tax collector working for Rome, the enemies of the Jewish people. And this reality didn't escape Matthew. He understood who he was. He knew he was living outside of his purpose, just like you and I do. When we're not being true to ourselves, we're not being attentive to that gentle whisper that God has spoken into our hearts. I'm not trying to get all spiritual and wishy-washy with you. This is real talk. I want you to understand that you are here for a purpose. You are here for a higher calling. You are here because God destined you to be here at this time right now. And your job is to identify what that purpose is. Are you living a contradiction? Are you living in that tension of God's purpose and what you want to do, or what society says you should do, or what the culture dictates you do, right? Because we could all get caught up in that. We could all get caught up in living out expectations that other people have on us, our parents, our co-workers, the company we work for, our children. We can live vicariously through our children by trying to force them into things that we missed out on, right? Or you may have been a victim of that through your parents, Maybe you come from a family that has this tradition and maybe you don't want to go that route. Maybe God put something else in your heart. Or maybe you're that influencer, that fitness influencer on Instagram that has a shredded body, but inside you're emaciated and broken. Or maybe you're that business guru who shows all these luxury homes and cars, but your children don't even know who you are. Or maybe you're that fashion diva that has entrepreneur on her Instagram description, but she just trapping toe pics somewhere. She just trapping toe pics online. You ain't no entrepreneur. There's a lot of a contradiction in our culture, in our society, and that's why I felt so compelled to do that video of being real, being authentic, and how Mike Tyson came out with that sweatshirt that just said, "Be real." Your beliefs align with your actions. That's what being real is. And living in that contradiction, a lot of us can't be real. We have to be what culture says, what society says, what our job says, what our parents expect of us. But have you ever stopped and just thought, what does God expect of me? What is God's purpose? What has He been whispering in my spirit that I should go this route? Or maybe I should take this chance. Or maybe I should make that phone call. Or maybe I should apply for that job. Or maybe I should start the business that He's put in my heart, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that God has deposited in you that you haven't even tapped into yet. Take a moment. Take a moment and really ask yourself, what am I here for? What is God's purpose for my life? Because I don't want to live in contradiction. I don't want to live with that tension of God's calling and purpose and destiny and my life. See, because your life can be totally contradiction. Your life can be a total contradiction to what God's true calling of your life is. But the good news is it's not too late. You see, the Gospel of Matthew shows us that Matthew ultimately fulfilled what God had purposed in his life. You see, he started out as a publican, as a despised tax collector, as a crook, overtaxing the people, pocketing the difference. But when he had an encounter with this radical rabbi that was preaching and teaching and healing in Judea, his life totally transformed. You see, he was at his tax collector booth one day just doing what he was doing. And it was a lucrative career. It's not like he was a peasant. And when Jesus walked by, he looked at Matthew and said 2 words, "Follow me." Now, it didn't make no sense whatsoever if this was the first time that Matthew had laid eyes on Jesus. He wouldn't just leave his whole career to some strange rabbi that happened to be walking by and ask him to follow him. Nah, he had heard about him. He heard about the miracles. Oh yeah. Yeah. He heard about the healings. He heard about the blind receiving sight. He heard about all the things that were making their way through the rumor mill of Judea at the time. And you see, Matthew's identity and his name didn't escape Matthew. He understood where he was, who he was, just like we do. We know when we're not living in the perfect will of God. We know that. We know when we're living outside of our purpose in life. Like, I know exactly when I'm not being the parent I need to be. I know when I'm not being the parent I need to be. I know when I'm not being the husband I need to be. I know when I'm not being the friend that I need to be. I know when I'm not being the mentor that I need to be. I know I'm not being the student that I need to be. All these things don't escape me. I know when they're happening. And Matthew knew too. Matthew knew that his name, his destiny, his identity was tied to being a gift of God. And yet his life was a direct contradiction to that calling. But you see, when Jesus said, "Follow me," Matthew dropped everything and followed him. He didn't need a 10-step plan or a 5-year plan or what's the profit loss projection for the year. And he didn't need none of that. He left everything, got up and followed him. One action changed the destiny, the course of his life. The man who was extorting his own people became a gospel writer. The man who was meant to be a gift wrote and penned a beautiful gospel dripping with grace because of one encounter. So I want to narrow this down to how this pertains to you and I. Okay? How does this pertain to us? Number one, mistakes don't cancel your purpose. You see, like Matthew, you may think that you've forfeited your purpose and calling. But God's call is not revoked because you wandered. It's still there. It's still there. So I would encourage you to really sit down, get some quiet time, and seek the face of God and ask him, what's my purpose? What am I here for? What do you want me to do? Because I feel that tension in my heart. I feel that tension in my life, and I don't want to live in contradiction. I want to live authentic. I want to be real. Number two, it only takes one yes. You see, Matthew's life pivoted on one decision. He could stay put where he's at in this lucrative career, yet be despised by his people, or he can get up and follow him by faith. He didn't need a 10-year plan. He didn't know what the next day was going to bring him, but he knew one thing. He was fulfilling the purpose that God had put in his life. And that, my friends, is no greater feeling. Number three, your past can become your platform. You see, Matthew was given the gift of grace. When Jesus said, "Follow me," he didn't lecture him. He didn't shame him. He didn't point out all the things along Matthew's life that he did wrong. He knew Matthew understood that, but he still offered the extension. He still offered the olive branch to Matthew and said, "Come and follow me." And Matthew got up and followed him. One decision transformed his whole life. And then I would encourage you to take that first step. Take that first step. You don't need to understand what comes up after. Now, I'm not talking about being reckless and quitting your job and selling your house or doing something really crazy. I'm talking about just being sensitive to the unctions of God, being sensitive to the purpose that you know he put in your life, that you know he put into your heart, that you were supposed to fulfill. It's not too late. You're one decision away from fulfilling the purpose that God has for you. So maybe your name, your calling, your identity hasn't lined up with your life choices. And maybe, like Matthew, you're stuck in that tension, you're stuck in that contradiction. Well, I got good news for you. It's not too late. The calling of God is still in you, and it's time to live it out. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for your time. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for joining us. We hope today's episode has sparked your curiosity and offered you new insights into the human experience. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider subscribing and sharing it with others who might find value in our content. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to leave a comment and a thumbs up. Until next time, keep exploring, reflecting, and finding meaning in your own unique journey. Safe travels, and we'll see you on the next episode.